This video is brought to you by my wonderful patrons and subscribers on Patreon and Subscribestar. These wonderful people are Jack Whitchurch, Magpie, Master Stew over at Patreon, Master Stew over at Patreon. If you would like to see even more videos in the future and allow me to do this full time, please do consider donating to one of these services of your choice. Now on with the video. So whilst I was busy travelling the north this week, there was an event that happened that almost completely passed me by. I was aware of it, but I was totally unfamiliar with the character that people were calling out, Carlos Maza, and what it had to do with Steven Crowder, YouTube and Vox. I had no idea, and initially I assumed it was just drama on Twitter before I saw the likes of 1791 make videos about it. And whilst I was hanging out with True Diltom, it even reached mainstream news due to some pretty drastic and serious action from YouTube. Basically, they've updated their policy in regards to content on YouTube in response to Carlos, and now a new Adpocalypse and censorship wave is upon us. So what started all this? I'm going to try to keep this brief, as I assume most people watching this will be fully aware of the backstory. Essentially, Steven Crowder has a particular dislike for this known Marxist journalist, Carlos Maza, to the point that Maza became a meme on his channel and was frequently mocked by Crowder and his co-hosts. In particular, he was made fun of for his sexuality, as well as his politics and his lisp. But considering that everyone gets dunked on for stuff like this on a daily basis and it's comedy, it's no big deal for those of us here on the opposite side. However, for Maza, yeah, enough was enough. He went into an absolute Twitter tirade, accusing his fans of doxing him, who apparently texted him to debate Crowder. Ironically, he then also doxed the doxers. But anyway, after this tirade, he attacked YouTube for not caring about the LGBT community and for having a bad policy when it comes to harassment and hate speech. YouTube responded saying they were going to investigate. They then promptly returned saying that although Crowder is an edgy boy, he did nothing wrong. Well, until they decided a day later to change their mind, because they have just conveniently changed their policy, and now retroactively, Crowder is now guilty. Yay! So, that's the backstory out of the way. Let's delve into this policy change. Hate speech policy. On 5th of June, we announced additional steps they were taking to remove hate speech from YouTube. Content stating that a race, religion, sexual orientation, or other groups is superior in order to justify discrimination, segregation, or exclusion will be removed. Even if it does not explicitly call for violence, well, that means no debates on race realism, debating Nazis, alt-righters, black nationalists, Asian nationalists, or talking about cultural appropriation and safe spaces. All this crap, if YouTube is going to be full-on equal censorship for all, which is doubtful. All this cannot be talked about on the site. That's going to help society. Even if you do not call for violence, you could just espouse an opinion. You'll be guilty of hate speech. Hate speech is not allowed on YouTube. We remove content promoting violence or hatred against individuals or groups based on any of the following attributes. But what is hatred, YouTube? You've already removed promotion of violence, unless it's people like the BreadTube community who do promote political violence in their community. Will they get banned? Also, considering hate speech is not even a thing in US law, as far as I know, why is it a thing with these social media companies? I've always wondered that. Also, look at Carlos here. He's totally not calling for violence. And then YouTube shows us all the things that we cannot talk about, and I'm sure there won't be any exceptions to the rule. Also, is comedy affected by this? We refer to gender, sex, and sexual orientation definitions, mindful of the fact that society's views on these definitions are evolving. Good to know, YouTube. I'm sure you'll keep up. If you see content that violates this policy, please report it. Instructions for reporting violations of our community guidelines are available. If you have found multiple videos, comments, or a user's entire channel that you wish to report, please visit our reporting tool where you will be able to submit a more detailed complaint. I'm sure no one will abuse this one. What this means for you: if you're posting content, don't post content on YouTube if the purpose of that content is to do one or more of the following: encourage violence against individuals or groups based on any of the attributes noted above. You see, that's all well and good, but if I criticise a community for an actual bad thing they do in their culture, is that hatred or something that is constructive and should be addressed? If, for a weird example, the LGBT community like to dig up dead people for a weird ceremony and I pointed out that this is a health hazard, is that hatred? I am sure context matters, guys. They also say dehumanise individuals or groups by calling them subhuman, comparing them to animals, insects, pests, diseases, or any other non-human entity. Praising or glorifying violence against individuals or groups based on the attributes noted above, using racial, ethnic, religious or other slurs where the primary purpose is to promote hatred, using stereotypes that incite or promote hatred based on any of the attributes noted above. This can take the form of speech, text or imagery, promoting these stereotypes or treating them as factual. Claim that individuals or groups physically or mentally inferior, deficient or diseased based on any of the attributes noted for the purpose of inciting hatred. This includes statements that one group is less than another, calling them less intelligent, less capable or damaged, allege the superiority of a group over those with any of the attributes noted above to justify violence, discrimination, segregation, or exclusion, conspiracy theories ascribing evil, corrupt, or malicious intent to individuals or groups based on any of the attributes noted above, call for subjection or domination over individuals or groups based on any of the attributes noted above, deny that a well-documented violent event took place. Which one? Is it the Holocaust or the Armenian genocide? I wonder which one you're more likely to get away with. So no racism, sexism, whatever. I got that. But stereotypes, conspiracy theories. So basically, all of this is now verboten. What the hell are conspiracy theorists doing that means they need to be silenced? What have 9/11 truthers done to become akin to racists and Nazis? What did they do? I feel this is something that will be abused. You get labelled as a conspiracy theorist, you get censored. I mean, they might as well ban the Paul is dead conspiracy theorists. Because surely Sir Paul McCartney is being victimised by this, right? Also, stereotypes. So, if it's in the context of humour like The Simpsons or banter, is that still allowed? Or is it now hatred? We may allow content that includes hate speech if the primary purpose is educational, documentary, scientific or artistic in nature. This is not a free pass to promote hate speech. Examples include a documentary about a hate group. Educational content that isn't supporting the group or promoting ideas would be allowed. Documentary promoting violence or hatred wouldn't be allowed. A documentary about the scientific study of humans, a documentary about how theories have changed over time, even if it includes theories about the inferiority or superiority of specific groups, would be allowed because it's educational. We wouldn't allow a documentary claiming that there is scientific evidence today that an individual or group is inferior or subhuman. This policy applies to videos, video descriptions, comments, live streams, and other YouTube product or feature. For educational content that includes hate speech, this context must appear in the images or audio of the video itself. Providing it in the title description is insufficient. They say all this, but in a list of all the people censored to various degrees, a person who runs a history channel actually got terminated, and there's already more evidence that documentary channels are under threat. And the history community has had consistent issues with your policies because they have to deal with subjects that, are full of hatred, disgustingness, violence, all sorts, because the dark side of humanity is not something we should forget about or ignore. I guess if you're in YouTube's good books like Crash Course, making sanitized videos for NPCs or mainstream media corporations, you're fine. But if you're just a regular YouTuber like Military History Visualize or Tick History, no holds barred, you can be terminated. Also, we can't even discuss legit scientific research that says that maybe we're not all equal or some peoples are better than others at certain things. Now that's just anti-scientific, yet we're supposed to be trying to help people further educate themselves. I don't think YouTube know what they're saying here. And then they list us a load of examples, which is too numerous for me to recite here, but link will be in description, as well as this nice little picture. But it was nice to offer us examples. Now we know what we can't say and who we can't criticise. What happens when content violates this policy? Well, the usual, guys. They'll remove it or demonetise us. We kind of gathered this would be the case. By the way, they included a link to context and why it's important. The importance of context. Context is very important for all videos, but it's particularly important when posting graphic content. Content that is educational, scientific, newsworthy, or a documentary may often contain graphic content. This type of content is allowed on YouTube if it includes context. Adding details explaining your video helps users find and understand your content. It also helps the YouTube team review your video if it gets flagged. So basically we have to treat our audience as if they're idiots and remind YouTube that this is in context, because if we don't, they might flag us. Nice to know, YouTube, that you are that stupid enough to do such a thing. Yet comedy is not even mentioned in this. So we can reasonably assume that comedy is not protected under this importance of context rule, or in the new policy. We cannot make fun of the protected classes. We will be guilty of hate speech if we do, and will be yeeted off of YouTube. And unless you're a YouTube buddy or a mainstream media company, not even your educational content is safe. For example, a video posted by a citizen journalist capturing footage of protesters being beaten would probably be allowed if it includes relevant context. In this example, relevant information could be a list of tips at the beginning of the video on how to stay safe when at a protest, or a voiceover narration about the protest history. The video should have a clear title description indicating that it's reporting on or documenting the content. Seriously, really? This is just so stupid. What if they're literally just trying to film an event in its pure unadulterated form? They don't have to provide any other context than that. We can see it happening as it's been filmed. But another thing, all this is well and good, except when it's politically inconvenient for certain groups. I'm sure, right, YouTube? Guidelines for adding context. YouTube is not a home for glorifying violence or promoting hate. Graphic or controversial footage may be allowed if it's educational, but may also have age restrictions or a warning screen. Controversial footage. So as I alluded to, that is the content that may technically fall under documentary or protest footage that YouTube doesn't want, that their ideological masters do not want. So there we have it for now, the policy changes, stiffening the rules to such an extent that we will find it impossible not to break the rules. And to be honest, this was probably in the works for a while now, and this was the perfect opportunity to break out the new YouTube rules to show how good they are to the mainstream media. What were the reasons why Maza did this? Why did he start this new Adpocalypse? Well, it was not to defend his fellow LGBT people, it was all about censorship of opposition voices and the suppression of new media, because they are not happy that people like Steven Crowder beating them and growing and changing minds. I've also heard that this has something to do with what is essentially an industrial dispute between Vox, the company, but I cannot confirm this, though with regards to that issue, events are moving along swiftly. So where does that leave us plebs? We are on more borrowed time and have to walk on an ever increasingly thin tightrope just to get our message across. Crowder can survive this, he's big enough and he has the contacts outside of YouTube. Also, in a weird situation, his demonetization can be fixed if he deletes a link to his t-shirt that was used as a justification to censor him. It's edgy humour, get over yourselves. But if he does this, that and more, YouTube might give his money back. I mean, just look at this list. It's not just the extremes, it's the people closer to the centre or even left wing. When people like Drunken Peasants, The Amazing Atheist's new podcast, Tail Feature are getting censored, I think it speaks volumes about who the real enemy are to YouTube. But anyway, I have to cut it short here. It's going to be a long and hard fight. Nobody said this was going to be easy. If you're interested in helping financially with the channel, I have a Subscribe Star and the Patreon. I would prefer if you donate to the Subscribe Star as it's better than Patreon. Also, I need 5 subscribers in order to actually make money. Donate little as $1, I don't mind, because eventually I will be demonetized. Luckily, I also have a job which will more than cover the financial loss of ad revenue, but that means less time to make videos. So, links down below as I said. Entirely up to you guys if you want to help. Also, Steam Labs is there too. See you later guys, keep fighting.